What's going on, Stim Junkies? High Stim Ace here. Hope you're all having an incredible week. And I do hope you missed me a little bit. I know I've been away for a couple of days, but that is because I went away for the weekend. It was my birthday weekend / Mother's Day. So Sunday was Mother's Day. I went to Connecticut. I spent some time with mom. Then I came back on Monday and I had my birthday celebration. So I had a really good weekend, lots of fun, not a lot of sleep, but it was definitely a special birthday. So thank you everybody who reached out over on Instagram for the birthday wishes and everybody who showed me some love. You guys really, truly are the best. Now, today I want to be reviewing a supplement for you guys. This is actually a nootropic that I reviewed about, I think 6 months ago, something like that. It was a new product at the time, and I was one of the first reviewers that got to give you guys the facts, all the information about this product. It was a very, very good nootropic, a somewhat hard-hitting one. Wouldn't call it a stim junkie type of nootropic, but it was definitely more than your everyday nootropic blend kind of formula. It was somewhere in between. So there were some stimulants in there, there was some nootropics, and it was something that I would have liked to run maybe 2 times a week. Not more than that, because it did get you a little bit too hopped up if you didn't watch the serving that you were taking. But now they are actually here. They have a reformulated version, and we are going to talk about it here on the channel today. So the product we are going to be talking about today is Elyvate Labs all new and reformulated winged nootropic. And yes, this one here did make my top list for 2024. I think I did a top 8 list if I recall correctly. I think this one got like the number 4, number 5 spot. Very, very good product. I like the original version a lot, but this version here is a little bit different. It's a little bit less hard-hitting, more focused on euphoria, clean mood elevation, mental clarity, and reducing overall anxiety while providing those cognitive benefits. So we're going to break down the label, and I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about this nootropic here. Let's get to it. All right, guys, so before we get started, I'd like to give a major thanks and shout out to my good friends over at Elyvate Labs for sending this one my way for review. I greatly appreciate it, and I have been running this one for the last week and a half. Now, initially, when the owner reached out to me, he told me to take this at the full 4-cap dose because he did mention that this one isn't as hard-hitting as the last version. The last version did have alpha-O. I also believe a little bit of araya. I could be mistaken. I know it definitely had alpha-O, but this version here does not. It focuses more, like I said, on a good mental clarity and reducing anxiety, reducing stress, just giving you a good feel-good mood to get you through the day, but also provide you with some cognitive benefits, some nootropic, feel good, mood elevation, and just get you really productive and in the zone. So theoretically on label, this is what this product is supposed to do. So it's not as hard hitting as that version that I did review about 6 weeks ago. So I ran it for a week and I did run it at 4 caps initially. I'm going to tell you that experience. I'm going to tell you my experience splitting the dose, taking 2 caps in the morning and then 2 later in the afternoon. So we're going to talk about it. But before we do that, we're going to go over this label. So looking at the supplement facts here, the serving size is 4 capsules and you're getting 25 servings per container, which I do believe is the same as the previous version. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I like personally splitting the dose, taking 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. I've also ran this just at half a dose, so that's another option for you guys to consider. If you run this at 2 capsules, you're getting 50 servings out of it, and some of you guys may not need to take the full dose. So this is very person-to-person dependent, and everybody's going to react a little bit differently. So with that being said, we're going to start off with the label, and we are getting vitamin B12 in here at 300 micrograms. I'm going to read everything as it pertains to 4 capsules because that's how I always do it here on the channel. And then for hyperfocus fuel, you're getting alpha GBC at 1,000 milligrams. Man, that's a really nice big dose. 50% yield, of course, but 1,000 milligrams is definitely on the high end. Alpha GBC is a proven nootropic. It's going to give you a good mental clarity, a focus, cognitive benefits, and just increase your performance overall. It's really going to get you sharp as a tack when you're dialed in on whatever it is that you're trying to do. Next up, we have the Winged Euphoria Matrix, and this one is very different than the last version, if I recall correctly. There's no araya genesis in here. I do believe, I'm like 90% sure that the last version had araya in there. It wasn't at a high dose. I think it was like 100, 150 milligrams, maybe 200. I could be wrong, but I could have sworn that the last version had araya. But this one here does not. You are getting ThinFen, however, which is phenethylethamine, and that is coming in at 1,000 milligrams. So that has a very short shelf life. It's going to give you like a good initial burst of mood. It's going to make you feel good, almost like a mini high, if you will. Not, not to that extreme, but it's going to make you feel really good and floaty for a couple of minutes. And if you have a good formula, if you have other ingredients in there, that synergize well with that phenethylethamine, it can elongate and really give you a nice floaty head high for even a couple of hours, but this is the main ingredient in here that's going to contribute to that buzz. You are getting 30 milligrams of saffron extract, and a lot of people are talking about saffron lately. It's all the rage in the nootropic community, and a lot of people are saying it helps them with anxiety, it helps curb depression, it helps curb negative thoughts, and, I'm somebody that struggles with depressive thoughts at times. I do struggle with, feeling negative at times. I think it's a normal human emotion, so this is something that I definitely feel would be beneficial to me and to a lot of people. So I like the addition of saffron in here. That is really good. It says also that it's high potency saffron, so that's very nice, 30 milligrams of that. And then we have another trademark in here. We have SalidroPure, which is pure salidroside, coming in at 25 milligrams. So that is also supposed to have blood oxidizing benefits, and it's supposed to kind of make things a little bit more efficient, in terms of the other ingredients we listed earlier. It's kind of supposed to help the body process everything a little bit more efficiently. I do believe it's a derivative of choline, so, it's going to help along those lines. Now we have the next category in here, motivational energy matrix. N-acetyl L-tyrosine, 500 milligrams. So a good dose. You don't need more than 500 milligrams for a daily type of nootropic. Pre-workouts could have like 1.5, 2 grams, but for a nootropic, you don't really need all that much. I think 500 milligrams is a really nice sweet spot. We have caffeine anhydrous, 333 milligrams, oddly specific, but also the exact same amount that the last version had. I think that's the owner's little trademark. He likes that 333, so I think that's pretty neat. And lastly, we got theobromine coming in at 250 milligrams to give you a little bit more stimulation and clear-headed focus and energy. Before High Stim Ace breaks down my experience running the all-new Winged Nootropic over the last week and a half, don't forget to like this video, comment below, share the channel with a fellow stim junkie or a fitness enthusiast, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Alright guys, so like I mentioned at the top of the video, I've been running the all-new Winged Nootropic for the last week and a half. I started running it last week Saturday, and today is Tuesday. So yeah, about a week and a half I've been running this one here. The very first time I took it at 2 capsules in the morning with my morning cup of coffee because I didn't want to take 4 caps with my coffee. You guys know I'm a coffee connoisseur. I got to have my morning Joe every single morning before work. So I took 2 caps with my morning coffee, and then I took the other 2 capsules about 40 minutes later, basically right before I left home for work. And to me, the experience was very nice. I definitely got that floaty head high. I felt it like 5 minutes after taking the caps. It's not like a high stim pre-workout. Obviously, this is a nootropic. It comes in 4 capsules, and I took 2. But combining it with that cup of coffee, it gave me like a really good, clear-headed mood elevation and nootropic kind of focus. And I really liked it. It wasn't too overstimulating. It wasn't too intense. It was just right. Honestly, at 2 caps, it was just perfect for me personally. Now, you guys know that High Stim Ace consumes a crap ton of caffeine throughout the day, as well as a lot of stimulants, but I am somebody who's responsible, and I consume all these stimulants for their intended purpose, which is training in the gym. So despite the fact that I am High Stim Ace, I don't like getting too hopped up on caffeine first thing in the morning, unless it's High Stim Saturday and I'm taking a High Stim pre-workout and going to the gym. If I'm going to work, I'm not trying to be jittery. I'm not trying to be anxious. I'm not trying to be too overstimulated, because then it becomes a detraction from my day, and it kind of provides the opposite effect. It makes me anxious. It makes me jittery. It can even make me a little bit angry. So, we don't want that. But what I did that very first time, like I said, took 2 capsules with my morning cup of coffee. To me, that was perfection. But then I took the other 2 capsules about 40 minutes later, and to me, that wasn't really the right move. I started feeling a little jittery from the caffeine. You're getting a total of 333 milligrams of caffeine, which is a pretty high amount. It's almost 350. That's essentially like pre-workout levels of caffeine. So combine that with the other cup of coffee I had, I was jittery, I was overstimulated, I was a little anxious. It wasn't a very good experience. I may as well have taken the 4 caps in one shot, because there was just like 40 minutes in between waiting. It wasn't really a long enough break. Now, I spoke to the owner, because the next morning I repeated the test, but I did it a little differently. I took all 4 of them first thing in the morning, but I had a decaf cup of coffee instead. So I kind of took away that cup of coffee. I said, let me take the 4 caps as intended. That is the intended dose for most people anyway. And I paired it with a decaf cup of coffee. And it was essentially the exact same experience. I felt jittery. I felt a little anxious. I felt floaty. I felt good. Almost felt like I took a little bit of Araya Genesis, gives you that good Araya kind of head buzz. I know there's no Araya in here, but the beta phenethylamine, 1 gram, the alpha GBC, they're going to synergize together, with the saffron, with the other ingredients, and you're going to get a nice little floaty buzz. But the 333 milligrams of caffeine to me, plus the 250 theobromine, was a little bit too much from the get-go. So I reached out to the owner. I told him, listen, it's a solid formula. I really like it, but I feel like taking 4 caps first thing in the morning is a little bit too much, even for me, even for somebody who's a veteran, somebody who's used to stimulants. It just feels like too much first thing in the morning. So he recommended to me to split the dose. He told me, take 2 in the morning. You can take it with your morning cup of coffee, but then don't take the other 2 until like lunchtime, 12, 12:30, 1 o'clock, mid-afternoon, when you're kind of starting to not really crash, but when, it's starting to taper off a little bit, take the other 2 capsules and during that time and see how it works. So I decided to do that. And I got to tell you, that is definitely the right way to do it in my experience. So what I like to do now, I take my 2 caps in the morning, first thing in the morning with my morning cup of coffee. I usually don't eat in the morning. I might have a protein shake after my coffee. And it isn't until I get to work later, 2 hours later, or whatever it is, I might have a small bowl of oatmeal, maybe a protein shake, but I don't really eat heavy until lunchtime. And even my lunch isn't that heavy. And then I don't really eat my big meal until dinner time. That's how I've been doing it for a very long time. But with this option here, I like the way it works. 2 caps in the morning, morning cup of coffee, take either like a protein bar, something light, or a protein shake, you're good to go. You're going to feel mentally stimulated. The energy is perfect because if you're splitting the dose up, then you're getting 125 milligrams of theobromine. The caffeine comes down to a more manageable 170-ish, so that is good. Even if you pair it with a cup of coffee, that's another 100 milligrams. It brings you up to about 270. It's not terrible. It's manageable for most people, but you're still going to get the benefits that come from all those nootropics and feel-good ingredients. So you're going to get a floaty little buzz, and the saffron and the alpha GPC is going to elongate that effect, and it's going to carry you through the day. So I found myself being more patient, more productive. I was dealing with people a little bit better. I was having better conversations and a little bit of a better mood, just mentally on top of things. And I really like that. And what I like to do is take the other 2 capsules with me to work, and it depends. Certain days, I might not even have to take the other 2 capsules. If everything's flowing and I'm not crashing and I'm vibing with it and the day's being productive, I'm not even going to take the other 2 capsules. But on those days that I am working a little hard, if it's a Monday and I'm coming back from a crazy weekend and, I'm dealing with a lot of craziness at work, yeah, I'll take the other 2 capsules and it's going to really give me a nice little boost. It's going to kickstart the rest of my day and I'm good to go. So this here is definitely, in my opinion, an improvement over the last version. Now, the last version hit harder, but it was a little too much. You had the alpha-O in there. It wasn't a high amount. I think it was like 1 milligram, but it was not necessary. You don't want to be taking alpha-O daily as a nootropic because then you're taking it in your pre-workout and it's just too much. It's too much stimulation. You're going to get jittery. You're going to get anxious. You're going to crash later in the day. Same with Araya Genesis. I don't want to be taking Araya every single day. If I'm already taking Araya 3 times a week for my training sessions in the late afternoon, early evening, I don't want to take it in the morning because then I won't feel it as much in the evening. And, your body just develops a resistance. It's too much. It's too much, even for High Stim Ace. So the formula they have right here for the all-new Winged Nootropic, for me, it is more reminiscent of a classic type of nootropic, right? So less stims, more nootropics. You are getting the caffeine in here at a relatively high dose. But like I said, guys, if you want to do it the way I do it, take 2 caps in the morning with a cup of coffee or by itself, whatever. You don't have to have it with the coffee. I like the coffee though. Coffee makes me very, very happy. But I'm going to take my 2 caps with my morning Joe. And then if I need it later in the afternoon, I will have the other 2 caps and really be ready to tackle on the rest of the day. So the main difference with this version here, as opposed to the previous version, is that there's less of a jittery crackhead type of energy and a lot more mood elevation, nice floaty head high, and a nootropic cognitive benefit that's really going to help you be on top of your game. If you want to pick up this version here, I'm going to link the website. You can pick it up with a discount code and save a little bit of money while supporting the High Stim Ace YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoyed this brief review, and I definitely think this is a solid nootropic. It's probably going to make my top lists of 2025 whenever we get to it, but you guys can definitely check this one out. I think you will like it. As always, don't forget to like the video if you found it beneficial, guys. Comment below. Let me know if you've tried the original version. Does this version intrigue you here? Which label do you think was better? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at High Stim Ace. Subscribe right here on YouTube, and I will see you all next time for the next High Stim pre-workout review. Take care, everybody. High Stim Ace, signing off.